I did something pretty brave after all these years of seeing people review Glarry basses, and I bought one. So why would a guy who's been playing bass for 18, 19 years, something like that, who has basses, not a beginner, I'm not out of basses, I don't know, why would somebody in my position buy this? Let's figure that out. I was actually in the market looking for a different P-bass style bass with no pick guard. That's kind of one of my favorite looks that's out there, and it's rare. I was looking at a bass from a band called Slick around Cyber Weekend, Cyber Monday, whatever. They were having a sale, and I found a really good deal. And when I was about to order it, I saw that the shipping was over $70 for a bass that was only 200 and something. I was kind of, I don't know, so thrown off that I went to go check this out because I remember seeing that they had a no pickguard version, and this bass is $99. The Cyber deal was 10% off and also free shipping. So for $90 plus tax, this is shipped. So let's talk about some of the things that I can very obviously look at and tell where they save money and whether or not I think that matters or whether or not I care. So if you spend $90 on a bass, or they have a model that's less than this, it used to be 70 something. I think maybe it's in the 80s range. But if you spend that much money on a bass, you should be leery. You could either be getting something that is completely unusable, or you could just be getting something where they've cut costs in every way, shape, and form. And that's what they've done here. The bridge is cheap, but they all are. They're all cheap designs. The electronics is very cheap, including the pickup. I measured this. It's like about 7.8 kilo ohms, which means there's not a lot of wire in it, and the output is very, very weak. This is the only thing that I would consider actually unacceptable on the bass. If you buy one of these, you're probably gonna have to replace the pickup. I can't really see any way around it unless all of your basses have really weak pickups and you adjust everything accordingly. You can't balance this with anything else with a significant amount of output. The pots, basically the tone roll off is very uneven. Basically at 0, you're all the way rolled off tone. If you add that much tone, it feels like you're all the way open again. No worries, I have electronics that I'm going to put in here. I've already got it on hand, so we're going to do a comparison of how the volume and tone roll off with the stock versus that. Okay, so also they saved money. There's no finish on the neck at all. Feels like totally bare maple, which is fine. That's actually kind of a plus in some instances because I can put my own finish on there. The back looks different than the front. The front's like a really pale maple. Maybe it's like a harder rock maple. These block inlays are literally ink or paint or something. Here, take a close look. Let's see. It's painted on there. It looks cool, like from a distance. And also, if you were ever to put any kind of finish on it, it's fine. It might rub off if you don't put a finish on it, but it looks cool. I already said that the P-Base no pick guard is one of my favorite looks. Well, maple fretboard with block inlays is my other thing that I really like. So yes, I basically got the base because it looks cool. It's not going to get a lot of use for my main purposes. I already have bases, particularly 5 strings that I've got for using with my band and church, which are tied together, the band and church. So this isn't really going to be used for any of that. And also so the bridge is cheap, but that doesn't mean it's bad. The tuners are cheap, but I've used worse, like much worse. I've actually picked up a $800 bass at Guitar Center that was a P-Bass style, and it felt similar to this. So that's pretty surprising, and I'm not going to say what brand it's from because it's a brand I like, and I feel bad about that. I can tell that they cut costs in the body wood as well. It's incredibly light, like so many people have said. They have one that they call a GP2 upgrade that has a slightly heavier body, better pickup, and stuff like that. And I think it's totally worth it to go ahead and spend the extra money to do that. But again, the whole purpose of me buying this was to get the one with no pick guard. I wanted rear route, no pick guard, just clean, bass here. I think maybe this is the Indonesian basswood for the body wood. I'm not really sure. You can see clearly 3 pieces of wood here. But not just that, they also have an unusual join right here. So I think what they've done, I think it's just this piece here. They're using pieces of wood and putting it together, which is not totally unheard of because Gibson and Fender and people that are big name and big price point have done stuff like this, taking multiple pieces, even sandwiching multiple. Gibson in the 70s would sandwich multiple pieces of wood to get the right thickness and width and then route out a body. It's not bad. It could be if you're I can't think of a better word other than bougie. Depending on how bougie you are with your instruments, you would say this is a terrible idea. To just put together a bunch of pieces of wood and whatever and make something this cheap. But I'm here to prove to you that if you swap electronics, nice pickups and stuff, into something cheap, it will sound good. And I bet it will sound as good as something more expensive. In order to fully do that, I would probably have to swap and borrow a P-Bass from somebody. So let me describe some surprising things about it. I fully expected this to have a Fender fretboard radius, 9.5, pretty rounded. radius, but this is very flat. Very, very flat, which is extremely surprising to me. You know, live, I'm going to do this. Let's see. Okay, it looks about the same as my Schecter Riot session bass. Yeah, it looks about like this, which is a 12-inch. It's definitely a 12-inch or 14-inch fretboard radius. Extremely flat. We're talking like Ibanez flat. Isn't that kind of surprising to get on something like this? That's another plus for me. It came set up to where I have no buzzy frets. On the low E, I get a little bit of buzz here. I need to add some relief in the neck. I haven't touched any setup. I'm going to play this demo without setting it up so you can kind of hear what's going on. And then I'm going to add some relief with the truss rod and see how the truss rod works. This bass at $99 is set up great. And it doesn't have fret sprout. Look, I'm not cutting my finger. No fret sprout. I get a little bit of buzz right here, which lets me know that there needs to be some relief for the string to vibrate without hitting the fret. The nut is slightly pushed too far that way. I know how to fix that. I have no problem with these or the bridge. So tuning machines and bridge are going to stay until a tuning machine breaks, which I would be expecting it to break at some point. The strings are, I don't know, they're cheap, but they're not terrible. I don't know. I'm kind of astonished. Some other thoughts. These are really small frets. That's just coming from a guy. I've played a lot of basses with big frets. So these are really small. That is not bad or good, just different. Oh, and I watched a video from his YouTube name is My Bassist Chris, where he comments that this neck is actually extremely nice, C-shape, pretty thin neck. And this is relevant because most of the Glarrys prior to this model have what they describe as like a baseball neck. It's huge, and with the body being so light, it tips over. It's completely unbalanced. This is still a little neck heavy, but I can do this. Hang on, I'm gonna put it on a strap. How about that? Look at that. I can feel how the neck wants to tip down a little bit, but it's not. It's kind of sitting right about here. Let me see. Yeah, neck's a little bit heavy, but you just push it like this a little bit, and it kind of hangs. One thing that would help with this is I have a leather suede strap, and it kind of grips the back of my hoodie here, so it's not tipping over. I guess one of my last comments is I can tell that there's not the attention to detail on the the neck pocket in the body for where the neck fits. There's a little bit of space on either side. I'm going to play and show you that that doesn't really seem to affect the sustain at all. And if you've ever watched a guy named Jim Lill on YouTube, I think you'll see that that doesn't really seem to affect tone or sustain or anything. That's just a thing that you can tell of whether something's well constructed or not. This is pretty okay. Obviously, if you've got the resources and the money to get something nicer, your hands will thank you. The playing experience will be a lot better than it is with this. But I think if you play this like only for a little while and got used to it and changed out the pickup and the electronics, which we'll get there and we'll see how that affects the tone, I think that this is totally passable. This is actually way better than my first bass, and it's got a better setup than basses that have cost me a lot more money. I've had 10, 12 basses over the years. I only have 4 right now because I had little nitpicky issues with a lot of them because I kind of know what I want. And it's sort of crazy how good this is for the money. If you've played a Squire Affinity at the store, chances are your experience will be pretty similar to this. And what I mean by that is they can be amazing, like fantastic, or they can be pretty bad. I've played a lot of basses in the store that are in the $300 range that every single fret will just like chew your hand up. I play and then I look at my hand and I have like surface level cuts. You can see where my skin is scratched, but it's not, actually into the flesh. So I think that this is as good as basses up to the $300 range, but it just depends because in the $300 range you can also get like a Sterling by Music Man, which is significantly better than this. So I would say it's comparable to maybe like Ibanez up in that range, or I don't know, some Jacksons and stuff like that that fall in that sort of beginner range in the 300. But what I'm saying is this hits way above its pay grade and how much it costs. So I would say that it's very good bass to have for basically anybody. I mean, obviously beginners, this would be a great idea. As long as they're not kids. See, I wouldn't recommend this for my daughter because she's 6. Ugh. My daughter can play this. So yeah, that's, in her range. She can't really play it that much yet, but she will be able to. So yeah, this would be great for beginners who are teenagers that are full-sized. And then also this would be good if you are a person that plays guitar, you want to have a bass around to record stuff, I would go for this. If you're a bass player like me and you've got several basses that are your main basses that are totally different than a P bass, maybe you should just get one of these for that P bass tone. Like if you're joining a new band and you want to have something that kind of sounds like this, a bass dedicated for flat wound strings, that might be a purpose of this bass, because that does 2 things. A P bass with flat wounds sounds a certain way that's great, but then it also means that I don't ever have to change the strings on here. So that would be a great thing as well. There's a lot of instances that this would be a good choice for bass players and guitar players around, even if you've already got some basses. So I would recommend getting this for the current price. If the price goes up in the future, maybe it's not the best choice. In this price range, you can probably save a little bit more and get a lot more for your investment. Depending on what you want to do, you could go for like the slick bass that I was checking out. I feel pretty sure that that's going to be better, significantly better, but the price was basically like triple this. I would check out Harley Benton as well from Thomann, if you don't mind paying the shipping from Germany, which is less than the shipping of that slick bass, which is kind of weird and crazy to me.